Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we're going to have a rehouse of one of the spiders. I say a rehouse, it's actually going to be its first house, of one of the spiders that we picked up at the BTS. Now it's a really cool spider, and I've actually had my eye on it for a little while, and I've been humming and ahhing about what to do. Now this spider here, this is the Pamphobeteus petersi, or the red bloom. Now this is well, what they've classed as almost like a sub-adult, really, female. And the reason we got this, because you may have remembered sometime back last year, my good friend Stephen Bass, he managed to breed his petersi, and that's the first time that they've been bred in captivity for a number of years. So they have been done before, but it's very rare. They're not a spider that's found commonly compared to a lot of the other Pamphobeteus. So when he bred those, you may well have remembered, he brought them round when they were just tiny little things, and we reared them all here, and we got them into to molt out into spiderlings. I think we got them as eggs with legs, if I remember. And yeah, we reared them all up. Now a little thank you for that was he gave us half a dozen of the slings, which we still have. We have them here. Now, the thing is, these guys are still quite small. So we're going to have a look at those as well, but we're going to sort this girl out first. So the idea being that because we want to actually breed these later on in the future, the idea being that we get this semi-adult female now, and then when our youngsters start to mature out, there's pretty much guaranteed there's going to be a male, I'm sure. And hopefully our female here will be more than ready, and it will bring us right up into the forefront for our breeding projects. So out of all the Pamphobeteus, this is one of the ones it's been really nice to actually try and do, purely because of that connection that we've got with them. And also, there just isn't that many captive bred ones at all. So it'll be a really cool thing. A bit of a stiff lid there. I think we got, top has been crimped at some point. Right, that's okay. Right then, so what we're going to do, we're going to do a really simple, this is a 30 by 30 by 30, which is going to be plenty big enough for this spider. All we really need her to do is to set up a good secure home, and then hopefully we can be able to breed her in this as well in the future. Now we're not going to have any clay balls in the bottom. We're not going to bother with that. We're going to go straight in with substrate. Now the reason being is these guys do tend to go right the way down to the bottom, and other ones that we've had and ones that we've got, we've noticed that they actually dig the clay balls out. They move all of them out as well. In actual fact, if you look into this enclosure here, this has got one of our machalas in, and you can see all the clay balls here. So they've pulled them out from the bottom and they bring them back up onto the surface. So they go all the way down. So I think in this instance, we're not going to bother with the clay balls and stuff. We're going to go straight in with soil. What this does mean is that we will have to be a little bit more cautious with our watering and things like that. So we don't want to overwater, whereas with the clay balls we can get away with some surplus water in the bottom of the clay balls with most of the spiders. It doesn't affect them in anything, it actually does them quite good. But with the species that dig right the way down at the bottom, we don't want them sitting in water. So we're going to have to be a little bit more careful and a little bit more astute with what we're doing with our watering. So we're going to go straight in with some good old beastie mix. That sounded like a stone, didn't it? Yes, it was. Look at that. Right, so we're going to go straight in with some beastie mix, and we're going to fill this a good way up. Now these guys, the Pamphobeteus are quite a funny one. They do like to burrow down, but they can also be seen out on the surface an awful lot of the time. Now, we're going to give this girl a good amount of substrate because we're looking at hopefully pairing her in the future. It'd be nice that she sets up a good home and gets a good burrow going, and then hopefully if she builds a good solid burrow, that'll give her the security to actually drop a sack later on. Now we're talking like this is all going to happen next week, but in reality it's going to be a good while before this girl is bred, because we will be waiting for our males to pop up from the youngsters that we have. Right, I think we'll give it a little bit more. Now these come from Peru, and you'll notice there's been a fair few spiders coming in from Peru of late. There's some very, very beautiful spiders. Right, there we go. We've given a nice deep one there. So we're going to keep this relatively simple. We don't want too much going on. Now I think we can get rid of the tissue. Camera lady obviously didn't like the tissue. We're going to wonder if we can put this in here. This is just purely here to give a bit of a backdrop. Something for us to look at. That's all that's going to do. And we can build this up. And then we've got a couple of bits here. We've got some lovely moss. This is all natural wood. You can see this is full of isopods. Loads of little woodlights and things in this. Look at them all. Absolutely loads of them. And these are all coming in here. Now these guys are fine when they're little like this. They're of no issue at all. But you do have to be careful if you're putting very, very small spiders in an enclosure and you're using natural materials like this, because these woodlice will, in turn, they can be quite dangerous to very, very small spiders. The chances are you're not going to be using something like this with, you know, a big piece like this with your very, very small slings. Now we just got a slug there. We don't want that. Ew, they're messy things, aren't they? Slugs are messy things. Right. Now we could have, the slug wouldn't actually cause any harm. It's just a personal thing. I'm really not keen on them. I just don't like them. There's another one there. So we just get rid of them. They can be thrown back outside. Right then, so the question is, do we use, I think, yeah. We're going to go with a piece of this. So we're going to snap this in half. And then we're hoping if we can try and build something up here. I'm going to go for a bit more substrate. Right. So what we're looking at doing here now is we're trying to build like a shelf here. With the idea that she'll maybe go down behind it. That's the plan. What we wanted to do is to actually burrow down in here. So we're going to start that off. Just put that in there. And hopefully she'll go down and she'll dig down into that. Alright, we don't need any more. I'm going to keep this really, really simple. Water dish there. Now one of the other things we found with many of our Pamphobeteus is they do tend to muck around with their water dishes. and they cart them around and do all sorts of things with them. Just fill this up. Hopefully we're going to get a really nice look at her. They are a beautiful spider, and they are relatively big. Adults can reach out at 20 centimetres when full grown, so full grown female, we would be looking at sort of 20 centimetres. And we're going to do that. Right, that is about all we're going to need. We're not going to need to water this substrate because it's already quite damp, so it should be fine. Now with these guys, they do like a humidity of around about sort of 70% or so, and one of the things that stands out with the Pamphobeteus in general is they do in actual fact like it a little bit cooler than most of our other spiders. So we're looking down and around about sort of 70 to 75 is a nice comfortable thing for these. And if you want to breed these guys, it's important that we get their temperatures down. They need to come down in their temperatures. So in here, obviously it's quite warm in here, so we're either going to have to put her enclosure right down low where we're not getting the heat, or we might, I think probably what we'll do is we'll put her in the other room and we'll keep her in there where we do keep everything just a little bit cooler in there. Going forward, if you want to get really serious with these guys, with the Pamphobeteus, it would pay to have a little room all of its own, where we can really control the temperatures. Now then, let's have a little look at this wonderful spider. Right, here she is. And you can see there the red hairs on here, absolutely beautiful. And you can see also she's quite brown, so she will be coming up to a molt. She's playing I Can't See You at the moment. Now these guys do move particularly quick, so what we're going to do, we're going to lift her up, we're going to bring her in, and hopefully we can get some nice views of her in here. Right, if I just turn this around a little bit, I don't want all the soil to fall out on her. That's what we're trying to avoid. Don't fall out. We're just going to move her nice and gently. Here she comes. We don't want her to charge out. Let's see, once she finds her feet, here we go. It's amazing how they lock themselves down. You can actually feel the amount of force that she's pushing herself down into the floor. And there she comes. You notice we're maintaining that contact with her all the time. What we've got now is we haven't got enough room to move the box. Oh. That's it, we just move that out of the way. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and get her to come back up. And obviously now she is in completely alien ground. There we go. Now you can see now there's some of the colour in there. Absolutely stunning. I'll turn that a little bit. And you can see the redness on the abdomen here. Really, really cool. Now, one of the things that shows up with many of the Pamphobeteus is when they start turning brown like this, they're starting to go into their molt cycle. So when she comes out of her molt cycle, they generally are a really, really dark, velvety black or velvety brown colour. But they're very, very dark. And then as they go through their thing and they start getting ready to molt, they then get lighter and lighter brown. we go. So I would say, at a guess, it doesn't look like she's that far off of actually molting. Probably about halfway through. A very, very pretty spider. Now, as we mentioned earlier on, we're looking at around about 70 to 75% humidity, and that will keep these guys relatively nice. Now, we have seen them before where they've been kept very, very dry, and they seem to do well as well. But we keep ours with a bit of moisture, and they seem to do really well. So what we're going to do now, we'll have a quick look at some of the youngsters that you would have seen as eggs with legs all that time ago, and this is how they're actually getting on now. They can be a little bit skittish. There we go. Look at that. You see now, you can see this one has actually molted out, and you can see how light brown that molt is. This is the colour they go to just prior to molting, and then they come out like this. See, it's got that beautiful red abdomen, just like the adult. So they're going to be wonderful when they're full grown. They're going to be absolutely wonderful. And where this one is. Here's another one. And you see this one's quite light brown in comparison to the other one. So this one will be getting ready to molt soon. You can also see with the abdomen there as well. You see how it's gone clear all the way around. This is a sign that it's coming into pre-molt. So it won't be long, and that'll be molting too. Now we found with these guys that these little Braplast tubs work really well for them. It keeps them at a nice humid environment, and they seem to do really, really well. So that's our youngsters. So hopefully, as we were saying earlier on, we will have a male in amongst all of these, and it will do the job really nice. That's the plan. That's what we're hoping for. Now, it won't take her long to settle down, and like we were saying earlier on, we want to keep the temperatures a little bit lower for these guys, more so than what we keep most of the stuff in this room. The vast majority of the stuff in here is up around about the high 70s, low 80s. So these really do need a slightly different thing going forward. But what a wonderful spider. And as we said earlier on, this comes from Bugnut at the BTS. And I don't know if any of you guys that actually managed to get to the BTS, you would have seen on his stand the amount of variety. There is so much around at the moment. Some really, really cool spiders. And generally speaking, out of many of the actual suppliers, Bugnut do offer that variety. So always check them out. Go and have a little look. They are absolutely superb. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And we will have a little recap, and we'll try and catch out and see what she's been up to in a few weeks' time. And we'll see what's going on. But another fantastic project, and a project that really needs to be looked at. You know, these guys, we need to get more of them in the hobby. There's very, very few of them around. They really are quite rare as a captive bred spider. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I will see you soon, guys.